We had kids learning about Newton's laws, and then they learned about momentum and impulse momentum, and then they applied the ideas of impulse momentum and momentum transfer to reduce concussions in a sport of their choice. You know, they got to pick a sport of whatever sounded like fun to them to try and reduce concussions in it, and so they all started looking for the most obscure things they could find, and they had a really good time just picking what sport or activity they were going to design a helmet for.
We wanted to do something like a little different, so we chose water polo. And because we didn't think anybody else would do it, so, which they didn't. We're like, we know people are gonna do football and lacrosse,
and stuff.
yeah,
the common sports,
Yeah.
and so we wanted to do something a little out of the box.
Materials-wise, they were given a lot of recycled, reused scrap material. So we had a lot of memory foams, bubble wraps.
we're using like silicone, like your average silicone swim cap that you would use for swim practice, as like a base layer, and then in between that and another top layer of like silicone swim cap is there's memory foam, like about 2 inches, but it'll like compress down a bit since
It's memory foam.
yeah, and
Two swim caps so tight.
the silicones are like tight together, and that actually helped more than we thought it was going to, because that was our prototype 3, and
we had
it
to
worked
change
good.
something for
Each prototype.
yeah, for each prototype, and we were like, well, we think we've got it locked down, right? But when we put the small foam in it, there was like a 30 Newton of force change, so that was good.
Yeah.
It was really surprising.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty surprising.
Their control was to drop a soccer ball on a force plate, vernier force plate, and then they would read off how much force was felt by the plate, and then they started out by testing each individual material on the force plate to see how the individual material reacted, and then they wound up creating a composite of 2 or 3 different layers of different materials to see how that would affect the impulse. So we started thinking about, we started asking kids, so what kind of impacts are you going to have in your sport? Is it one really big impact like in football, or is it going to be a bunch of small impacts, let's say in water polo? And then we started, so they built their initial designs around that, and we tested them with a soccer ball. And then we said, is this really a good indicator or a good model for it? And many of them said no. So we said, well, how would it change if we used, a 10-kilogram medicine ball? So we started trying that one out, and they got some very different results and had to redesign their project over a couple of times. I feel like the integrated approach is much more engaging for kids. It does take a little bit more time on the front end, but once the kids are in it, it's much easier going, it's much easier planning, it's faster, because you move into more of a facilitator role instead of the monkey on the stage trying to do a song and dance. They're into what they're doing, and they want to keep doing it. They want to go to that next level, as opposed to us trying to keep them with us as we're trying to take them there. They will naturally progress into those next ideas.